everyone, I hope y'all are having a great day, and today I'll be reviewing Cricket Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo, the second book in the Six of Crows duology. And if you've watched the mess of a video that's my Six of Crows book review, then you'll know that I love these books so much. I think these books are gripping, well-written, thrilling, beautiful, emotional, diverse, incredible, like perfect. I love these books. Also, I just find these books really impressive. Like before I went into the Six of Crows duology, I read the Grisha trilogy because I knew that these books were set in the same world. And, you know, just comparing this duology to the Grisha trilogy, the improvement is unreal. Like, it's a writing version of a glow up. Good on Leigh Bardugo, I'm impressed. I cannot recommend these books enough. I love them so much. Something I would not recommend though is the audiobook. I listened to like 10% of Six of Crows via audiobook, just like here and there. But because it was so little, I didn't bother mentioning it in my Six of Crows book review. But for Cricket Kingdom, I listened to like 50% of the audiobook, I think. Not like a consecutive 50%, but just like portions here and there. I would listen to it like in the car or while I was getting ready in the morning. Or actually a lot of the times I would just listen to the audiobook but still be reading along. And here's the thing, I don't like audiobooks. I'm not really a fan of them. I do think that they have their uses, and to some people they're probably very, very valuable tools, but for me personally, I don't like them. I don't like being read to, and I really, really hate not knowing exactly how things are written, if that makes sense. Like if I'm reading something, I want to know where the author placed the punctuation. I want to know whether things are italicized, and especially in a fantasy book, I want to know how things are spelled, because a lot of times there will be made up words and I want to know what letters they use or whether there are any accents or capitalizations. Like I hate not knowing these things, which is why even if I'm listening to an audiobook, I'll also read along. But audiobooks, as opposed to like visual reading, is so good for multitasking. So I decided to give these audiobooks a try. I've heard a lot of great things about the Six of Crows audiobooks, and I can honestly say, I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. We have 6 different narrators, and each of the 6 narrators has a different voice for each of the 6 characters, so that's like 36 voices to keep track of, which I found very irritating. Also, the worst part about these audiobooks for me is that there's no consistency in pronunciation. The different narrators will pronounce words differently, like Ketterdam versus Ketterdam, or Jurda Parem versus Jurda Parem, or Jan Van Eck versus Jan Van Eck. Like, are my standards too high? Tell me honestly, is it really too much to ask for consistency in an audiobook? Like, is it too much work for the audiobook company to email each of their narrators like a pronunciation guide? This audiobook could literally have been recorded if you just grabbed 6 random people off the street and recorded them reading their chapters. Like, these 6 random people off the street probably had as much communication with the audiobook company and one another that the actual audiobook narrators did. Like, I've heard so much about how the Six of Crows duology has great audiobooks, which has me thinking, like, how low can the bar possibly be for this audiobook to be considered an amazing one? Like, I really don't understand. There are some really great narrators in this audiobook though. My favorite is definitely the lady who voices Nina. She's incredible at distinguishing different characters by having each character have a very, very distinct voice. She's super good at embodying Nina's personality. Like, she's very flirty when Nina's very flirty, or she's very serious and solemn when she needs to be, so like A+ acting. And she's also really, really good with accents, so I really enjoyed that. She was the best narrator out of the 6, I thought. I also really enjoyed Ineja's narrator. Something I liked about Ineja's narrator a lot was that the pace was really good. She read a little bit faster than the others did, so I really enjoyed that. The only thing I wasn't really crazy about was the voice that she used for Kaz. It sounded kind of creepy. A little gross. The worst narrator by far is the narrator for Wylan. Like, I cannot stand that narrator. He talks so slow, he breathes so loudly, and his voice for Kaz was terrible. It got to the point where anytime I was listening to the audiobook and I got to a Wylan section, I'd be like, okay, that's enough for right now. I'm gonna read the actual book on my own. I'll return to the audiobook when I'm at a different narrator. Like, listen to this narrator's voice for Kaz.
Good. Not even Jesper should be able to run through that in less than 2 hours. Of course I did. I control the game, Wylan, or I don't play. I could have made sure Jesper won every hand. You're the one getting ready to bolt, Jesper. You just want me to run with you so you don't have to feel so bad about it.
Why is Kaz like the evil hag from Snow White? It was almost impossible to listen to Wylan's narration without getting frustrated or irritated or annoyed or disgusted. Okay, enough about the audiobook though. I could be being unfair because like I said, I generally do not like audiobooks, but I thought I would just share my thoughts. So Cricket Kingdom was incredible. So many twists, so many turns, so many surprises, so much conflict, so much suspense, so many beautiful moments with our characters, so many sad moments with our characters. Because this is a sequel, I don't have much to discuss without getting into spoilers. So, if you haven't read Cricket Kingdom and you don't want to be spoiled, I would advise leaving in 3, 2, 1, bye. Something that I didn't notice in Six of Crows but really started bothering me in Cricket Kingdom was the use of Kaz's character as a crutch for the plot. Like, Kaz's character is so much larger than life and so unbelievably proactive that anytime anything went awry in the plot, I wouldn't even worry. I'd be like, oh, Kaz planned this. And 99% of the time, he did. And for the 1% of the time that Kaz didn't plan it, I'd be like, okay, but Kaz will figure something out, which he always did. It was almost like watching a thriller when you already know the end. Like, there's no real anxiety or real fear there because you know that everything is going to be okay. The impossible way that Leigh Bardugo crafted Kaz's character made it so that any blip in the plot didn't feel serious because I could rely on Kaz to fix things, which he did. An example of this is, it was one of Wylan's chapters and he gets captured by 2 gang members and is tortured into giving up the plan information, and the end of the chapter is purposefully written so that the reader is misled into thinking that Wylan has spilled the beans. It's page 427. Leigh Bardugo writes, "In the end, he was not Nina or Matthias or Kaz or Inej or Jesper. He was just Wylan Van Eck. He told them everything." Like, that's clearly written so that you think that Wylan has spilled all the details of the plan. But I did not buy it for a second. I was like, this is fake. This is fake news. This is a part of Kaz's plan. And I ended up being really frustrated at the plot because it was like nothing was real. Nothing was actually at stake because Kaz would plan everything, or Kaz could save everything. The fact that Kaz is supposedly so good at planning honestly made me dislike him a little bit. The only exception to this that I can think of is Matthias's death. His death was so unexpected and so unearned. Like, this stupid new Drusilla shoots Matthias, and after all that he's been through, after spending time in prison, after breaking into the ice court, after narrowly escaping with his life so many different times, this is what puts him down. This is what actually kills him. It actually reminds me of another severely unearned death at the end of a certain trilogy. But back to Matthias. When Nina brought him back to life and then chose to let him go, I was genuinely surprised. I thought Nina was gonna bring him back to life, or I thought Nina was gonna heal him in some way and that they would, you know, stay alive happily ever after. And so that decision, especially after being able to bring him back to life, that decision to let him go was very surprising to me. So Matthias actually died, and that sucked a lot because they were my favorite ship from Six of Crows. I really wanted to know more about Nina's power than what we were given. Like, it's just vaguely hinted at that this power is like the flip side of the same coin that she's always had. That Dreda Param, whatever, however you pronounce it, transformed her power into having the source of her power come from dead things and death instead of life. But I don't find that explanation that satisfying or satisfactory. Like, I need more information. I want to know more about it. Why this occurred, how this happens, how this affects anything else. Like, usually anytime we see something that's sourced from death, anytime someone uses that, it like chips away at their soul, chips away at their life or something like that. There's usually an adverse effect. So the fact that it is empowering Nina and that she's getting stronger by using this new power was very, very weird to me. Like, it seemed so evil, especially the fact that when she tried bringing Matthias back to life, it was like a black-eyed version of him and not himself. Like, what? Like, that seems kind of sketch. The ending with Kaz and Inej and the ship and Inej's parents, just everything about Kaz and Inej in general, I love them. Again, like I said in Six of Crows, I think Kaz is best when he's around Inej. Inej is everything. She brings out the best in everyone. Anytime Kaz thought something along the lines of, Inej is too good for this life, Inej is too good for me, she doesn't deserve this, I was like, yes, you're 100% right. Inej is too good for literally everyone and everything. Like, she's a perfect angel. Inej is a blessing that we do not deserve. And her loyalty is unwavering. The way she followed Kaz to the barrel when he's trying to recruit more crows, or at the very end when she sneaks into Pekarons' house and like threatens him and makes sure that he's so scared that he's never gonna come back. Just, yeah, Inej is perfect. I love that Leigh Bardugo included the topic of human trafficking through Inej's storyline, and I love that she incorporated a resource to help stop human trafficking and the acknowledgements. Leigh Bardugo, I feel, is just absolutely stellar at grounding her fantasy in real life. And I say this because, like I mentioned in my Six of Crows review, she has a great diverse cast in her heist crew, and also she does things like this where she incorporates these real world issues and places them in a fantasy setting. Like, what a queen. I realize I haven't mentioned Jesper and wylan. I feel like Jesper's storyline with his father is one of the less compelling storylines out of all the different storylines going on in the series. But also I appreciate the fact that at least one of these kids has a good parental figure in their lives. The end with wylan bringing down his father and rightfully taking back his inheritance was so satisfying. The character I'm most interested in following after the conclusion of Crooked Kingdom is definitely Nina. Like, I would really, really love to see her travels to Fjerda and, you know, her saying goodbye and burying Matthias, but also her trying to change this really, really rooted culture, this Druskala culture of hunting witches. But more than that, I would really, really like to see her return to Ravka and hone this new power more and learn more about it. I think Grisha are so interesting, and I think the Grisha world, especially after exploring it more in this duology than we get to in the Grisha trilogy, I think the world is just so fascinating. So if Leigh Bardugo is inclined to write more books set in this world, I am 100% down for it. Okay, so that is it for me for Crooked Kingdom. Loved this book. Love Leigh Bardugo, she's a goddess. Love Inej and Nina, they're goddesses. These books are so amazing. I love them so much. Please let me know what you thought of Crooked Kingdom in the comments. I would really, really love to know. Thanks so much for watching. I hope y'all have a fantastic day and happy reading. Bye!